Evil forces sweep across the world, isolating all cities and rural areas into isolated fortresses, strong enough to resist endless attacks from monsters. Transport airships are the only means of transportation in the world. Welcome to the World.class online game, Tower Defense World. Aero Tower, City Wall, Magic and Steam Airships hot-blooded world. Wang Li is an ordinary brick laborer and food delivery worker. He was commissioned by a strict father to enter Tower Defense World, with the task of treating his son's internet addiction. However, he soon discovered that there were players in need of healing all over the world. Wang Li felt helpless and said, "I thought tower defense was just a player guarding the city, but I never expected that I would be the siege boss. We're not playing the same game. I also recommend similar style finished works such as God Level Hero and Online Game. The Legend of Training. Keywords of the novel. No pop-ups in Tower Defense World. Download the complete TXT collection of Tower Defense World, and read the latest chapters in Tower Defense World. Chapter 1. You go and kill that silly son of mine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. You go and kill my silly son at 2 a.m. The Bund of Xinjiang was brightly lit, with a pitch-black abandoned building standing in the dimly lit area. Lin Zheng, the president of Zhengtian Real Estate Group, stands on this rooftop almost every night until dawn. The funding chain has broken, overseas operations have made mistakes, and the seemingly glamorous Zhengtian Group has reached the brink of collapse, accompanied by Lin Zheng's increasingly severe depression. Insomnia, anorexia, irritability, depression, loneliness, despair. Lin Zheng no longer has the courage to witness the collapse of his industry, which he has been struggling for decades. He really can't make it through tonight. Lin Zheng recalled his entire life, the hardships of coming to Xinjiang alone to fight when he was young, the failed marriage, and the rebellious son who ran away from home and became addicted to games and women. For a moment, his blood surged and his body floated. Just right, jump. When I die, I'll see what you can do. But Lin Zheng remembered his hometown again, thinking of his hometown's hot pot. Lin Zheng changed his mind. He hasn't had a good meal these months, so he'll eat hot pot and drink some old wine from his hometown before going on the road. Lin was ordering takeout from a hot pot restaurant that stayed open all night on his phone, and suddenly remembered that he was in an abandoned building on the 138th floor where the elevator was closed. How could he possibly deliver it? Lin Zheng suddenly had a sudden idea that at least he was still a person, and before his death, he had to do something shocking to make future generations remember. It has been decided that what can be delivered is the final red envelope, not to be wasted by that villain. But it won't be easy to get a big red envelope, so Lin Zheng proposed additional conditions. 1 hour limit, no need to disturb the security guard, there is a 10 yuan small red envelope reward. Because the security guard certainly knows how to get up. If you can't come, just leave a negative review. No, you also need to add a clause in your will to allow the group of kids from the studio to leave a negative review together. The Wang Li mobile phone business group has started, and there is a delivery order that everyone is struggling with. Wang Li chuckled in surprise. Isn't this the construction site where he moved bricks and painted walls 6 months ago? Does this mean we need to start over again? Anyway, it's cooked there and I've taken the order. Wang Li tied up his food box on the motorcycle and advanced at full speed. Although working the night shift is very tiring, there is no traffic jam, and the goal is to feel relaxed. Wang Li has been working hard in Xinjiang for over a decade, and in the blink of an eye, he is already in his 30s. From initially delivering bottled water, then working as a security guard, and then living in a studio for practice after being injured on duty, then moving bricks to the construction site, to now delivering takeout, almost all the errands have been done. At the beginning, I always wanted to become famous in Xinjiang and marry a white poor beauty to reach the peak of life, but now I have come to the conclusion that this is an international metropolis that absorbs elites from all over the world, not a place where I can get along with my diploma. I will save 1 million yuan in 2 years and go back to my hometown to build a swimming pool villa to raise fish. Wang Li arrived at the construction site and looked up at the pitch-black roof, which didn't seem like he was about to resume work no matter what. It doesn't matter. Wang Li bypassed the main entrance guard and jumped into the slope of a pile of construction waste on the back wall, familiar with the way. Then he found the electric switch cabinet for the wall painting elevator. The electric switch was open, and the rust on the ladder was also scraped off. It seemed like he had been using it all these days, so it was safe. Ascend the ladder. Lin Jing on the rooftop was in unbearable agony, which was a feeling of impatience in life. Perhaps he couldn't wait for an hour, and Lin Jing didn't believe that the takeout could be delivered. At this moment, Lin Jing heard the sound of the elevator coming from downstairs, noisy but as if a thunderbolt had pierced through the suffocating cloud in his heart. Can you really deliver it? Lin Jing took a long breath and waited with cold eyes. Bang bang. A voice in the darkness shouted, "Here's the takeout." Where's the boss? Lin Jing took a photo with his phone. Wang Li approached the food box with a smile and said, "Boss, please sign the order." Lin Jing asked in a deep voice, "How do you know to use this elevator?" Wang Li smiled and said, "I used to move bricks and paint walls here before, the place is familiar." Lin Jing's face darkened and he said, "You did a great job." Wang Li smiled and said, "That's what we should do. Is it just here to eat? Can I find some bricks to make a board and set up a small table for the boss?" Lin Jing sneered, "Okay." Wang Li couldn't help but wonder, what's the boss dissatisfied with? Lin Jing said in a deep voice, "I'm not satisfied with the security guard. They can leave tomorrow." Wang Li was surprised and said, "Boss, this is what you requested. I just followed your instructions, it's not their business, right?" At this moment, Wang Li finally saw the boss's face clearly and exclaimed in shock, "It's Mr. Lin himself." Lin Jing said in a muffled voice, "It's me. Anyway, they can't last long. Let's leave early and arrange early." At this darkly lonely moment before leaving, Lin Jing really wanted to talk to someone, so he added, "As for me, I will die early and be reborn early." Wang Li couldn't believe it and said, "Mr. Lin, what else can't be imagined about your wealth?" Lin Jing shook his head and said, "Brother, are you still busy so late? Come and have a drink with me." Being called a younger brother by Mr. Lin really surprised Wang Li, saying, "No problem, it's okay to drink with Mr. Lin until dawn." Wang Li quickly set up a brick table, set up hot pot, and brought out plates of hairy tripe, duck intestines, blood, and consumption fish. Then, he filled 2 paper cups of dried pork. "Mr. Lin, I'll do it first as a gesture of respect." Lin Jing also drank a cup of spicy food directly, his breath piercing through the air. "Mr. Lin has a massive amount." Wang Li continued to fill it up. Lin Jingchen said in a deep voice, "Brother, if you did a good job, it's just that the security guard didn't do well. Otherwise, what would happen if it were a thief? My Zhengtian group also did a good job at that time, and I don't know how many colleagues could collapse. Why can't my Zhengtian group collapse? This is the market law, and I don't have anything to think about. The only thing I can't think about is my son." Wang Li frowned and said, "Lin Tianhao." Lin Jing exclaimed, "Do you know me, brother?" Wang Li smiled and said, "The big boss of the Tianjiao team, hurry up and become a big internet celebrity on Douyin. The most inspirational second-generation rich who doesn't rely on his father to start from scratch and gathers beautiful white rich anchors around him." Lin Jing sneered and said, "Starting from scratch. Yes, I didn't give him any money, but if he asks my brother to borrow money to start a business, will he borrow it?" Wang Li was shocked and said, "Of course I will borrow it." Lin Jing sneered, "Why?" Wang Li smiled and said, "Because you are his father, you must give him face. If it's not a big deal, he can still ask Mr. Lin for debt. Mr. Lin will definitely not refuse to accept it, right?" Lin Zheng laughed heartily. Wang Li immediately chuckled. Lin Zheng sighed and said, he was 17 years old that year. He liked to play in that alliance and wanted to be the strongest king of Jiani. Wang Li said, I have worked as a league representative and gained points. Lin Zheng gave a cold smile and said, do you want to score? Have you asked me? I have specially compiled more than 10 Jiani training studios to play him. Playing him makes Guerrero's mentality explode. Wang Li took a sip of old wine and sprayed, isn't that right? Mr. Lin has even done this before. Lin Jing smiled heartily and said, let his life know what defeat is. Although it was to play this turtle, the market demand for high scores is quite high, and the efficiency of the studio is still good. Wang Li couldn't help but laugh and cry, even at that time, I couldn't continue as a substitute trainer, and I was also very frustrated. Lin Jing sneered, then this turtle ran to play and eat chicken. Wang Li sighed and said, there are cheats everywhere where immortals fight. Lin Jing smiled proudly and said, I hired a group of college students to develop a divine cheat, and the benefits are also good. Ah pooh. Wang Li is about to spit out a mouthful of old blood. Lin Jing smiled even more proudly and said, then Turtle wanted to become a live streamer, so I invited a group of fans to keep criticizing him, until he doubted his life. Wang Li was completely speechless and said, everyone has their own aspirations. As long as he likes it and can make money, why is Mr. Lin doing this? Lin Zhengchen said in a deep voice, for example, if a player enters the game and draws various divine pets and equipment in a lottery, but he doesn't challenge the ultimate level, but instead spends his days showing superiority in ordinary levels like an ordinary player. What do you think of this kind of person? Wang Li smiled and said, what's the difference between this and salted fish? Lin nodded and said, so, when my son was born, he was lying on the ceiling that ordinary people couldn't reach. He should have had lofty aspirations and abilities that ordinary people didn't possess. He could either pursue high technology or find high employment. This is called a big career, and even if the country is going to collapse, he will protect it, instead of dying recklessly like me, Zhengtian Real Estate. What about him? Playing games and claiming it's a career. This is not giving up his ability to evade responsibility. Who doesn't like being seductive? Everyone can do it. Brother, can you? Wang Li felt embarrassed and said, of course I will, but I can only crawl on the floor in my lifetime. I don't even have this condition to act recklessly. Lin Jing widened his eyes and stared at Wang Li, where are you from, brother? How old is this year? Wang Li exclaimed, Yuzhou, it's 31 years old. My name is Wang Li. Lin Jing patted Wang Li's shoulder and said, we are fellow villagers. Seeing your diligent and clever delivery just now, I think of myself from back then. I have a good outlook on you. Wang Li felt shy and said, you can't talk about being clever, only the road is familiar. Lin Jing poured a glass of wine for Wang Li and said, the roads are ripe, there are millions of roads, safety is the top priority. This is over 100 layers of darkness, and I appreciate my courage even more. Wang Li became even more shy and said, I learned it by practicing night work and brushing walls at high altitude. Actually, I still want to continue working at Mr. Lin's place. It's much easier than getting negative reviews for delivering takeout in traffic. Lin Jing clapped his hands and said, it's just the right time to start working. I just had an idea. This turtle is planning to tinker with a newly launched high-tech game called What World Comes From recently. Wang Li blurted out, Tower Defense World. A joint venture between China, the United States and Europe, and a new work by Lord and Raytheon Company. In recent years, advertising has been hyped up, and there are still 2 months left before it goes global. Lin nodded and said, I won't be able to hold on until then. Just now, my younger brother said he worked as a game assistant, right? You and I are also destined. I just want to ask my younger brother for a favor, to fight this turtle in the game. If possible, Take away those unscrupulous women around him. Wang Li was stunned and said, how could it be? There are dozens or even hundreds of professional experts under Lin Tianhao's command. And even if you want to fight, you have to arrange for professional experts to fight. I'm just an amateur vegetable chicken. Lin Zheng waved his hand and sneered, why do I have to arrange for a professional expert? All I want is to hire a takeout delivery chicken and get rid of him. When he gets angry, he thinks about life. He should be a towering kunpeng, but he is willing to be mediocre, so a vegetable chicken can jump up and kill him. His hobby and career are not worth a single blow. Wang Li's face trembled and moved. Lin Zheng said again, it's okay with your food. I won't leave him a few more properties. Let's sell them and run a special game account with that game company to give to you. Wang Li was stunned and said, a special account. That's a big game company that promises fair games. They don't do these things, do they? Lin Zheng smiled and said, what we want is a fair game. If we have money, we can buy it, but if we don't have money, we can't buy it. That's fairness. Even if I throw $1,000, even a foreign legislator can handle it. Even if I can't manage a game company, can't I still manage a few key programmers privately? What's up, buddy? My son relies on you to help. Wang Li realized that the fairness of the big shot was not quite the same as his own understanding, but the good thing of giving away accounts is really like winning a prize. Wang Li couldn't believe it, but his heart skipped a beat and he said, no problem. To be honest, as a single person, I don't like the sight of Lin Tianhao surrounded by a bunch of beautiful women. If I had this condition, I would definitely argue with him and call him Dad. But Mr. Lin. Lin Zheng smiled and said, call me brother. Wang Li changed his mind and said, I think my older brother can drink alcohol and speak well. Why can't he hold on? Lin Zheng let out a long sigh and said, depression is indescribable. Wang Li said hurriedly. Is not depression after all unhappy? I think my brother is very happy. How can there be a barrier that can't cure a heart disease? The big deal is to go home to farm healthy and environmentally friendly. Lin Zheng was suddenly taken aback, chatting and feeling much more at ease. He really didn't want to die. Lin Zheng laughed heartily as he understood, it's interesting, buddy. People around me dare not talk to me so casually. If I hadn't met you tonight, I would have jumped off. Cheers. Wang Li laughed heartily and said, yes, if you have any unhappy things, just eat hot pot and drink old wine. Brother, just wait and see the good show. The next time is for Wang Li to quit his food delivery job and switch to a quiet and spacious rental apartment, with a dedicated Ultra-G network broadband. Then Lin Lao go mail the helmet client machine, with a simplified single-player trial version, an external multi-screen game table, a health chair with a built-in toilet massager, and a backup power supply satellite communication machine that prevents power outages, all of which are high-end configurations that cannot be purchased in the market. The simplified trial version is for players to guard a small village, where common monsters will appear in the game. It is very easy to get started, but it is difficult for Wang Li to score high. Wang Li had to practice day and night, and carefully read the game introduction on the forum and the trial strategies of the beta players. When Wang Li thought that these trial guides were all professional experts who had walked far ahead, he felt immense pressure and dared not slack off at all. He slept on a health chair wearing a helmet every night, feeling familiar and practicing the ultimate state of human-machine integration. Then, the matter of the special account was also settled, and a confidentiality agreement was signed. I don't know how much the brother spent, but for the sake of my son, it definitely wasn't a small amount. But after all, it is a game controlled by an intelligent brain system, and programmers cannot bypass the core self-checking program of the system no matter how they go through the backdoor. So it still has to go through the test of game tasks, and the more powerful the account, the more difficult tasks it must do. Wang Li has everything ready, just wait for the game to start. However, Wang Li and Lin Zheng may not have realized that they are not the only ones who quietly create special accounts. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Tower Defense World. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 2 Tower Defense World. At midnight on June 1, 20XX, the eagerly awaited Tower Defense World was launched in all major regions around the world. Wang Li, who had been preparing for battle for a long time, entered the game on time. The grand music accompanies the opening CG, and the player's perspective overlooks from the clouds. The vast mountains, rivers, and land are filled with flames and smoke everywhere. Opening statement. Evil forces sweep across the world, isolating all cities and rural areas into isolated fortresses, strong enough to resist endless demon attacks. Transport airships are the only means of transportation in the world. The CG camera reached the ground, and rows of blazing stones ejected by flame catapults traced thick smoke in the sky. Countless monsters rushed forward like ant colonies towards the fortified moat, and a dense rain of arrows poured down. The raging flames in the moat turned the monsters into fly ash. An airship loaded with food and ammunition went out of the city to support the countryside in the sky, and a huge black dragon flashed past in front of me. Welcome to the Tower Defense World. This is the world of arrows, magic, and steam engines. Wang Li's heart was filled with excitement. In addition to inheriting the classic role-playing games of various monster killing, leveling, dungeons, pet hunting, recruiting heroes as lords, and other gameplay points, this game also has two major selling points. Airship aerial combat and unlimited siege monsters. Especially with unlimited monster spawning, previous games couldn't achieve this, and servers couldn't afford it. This game console is a supercomputer for scientific research, not at the same level. The advantage of this gameplay is that casual players can go up the city wall and fight monsters anytime they go online, or take airships out of the city to travel and enjoy themselves, making reasonable use of fragmented time. I will never deceive my teammates. For professional players, it is even more ambitious. Various fallen mining farms in the wilderness must go out of the village and fight monsters from all directions, and the requirements for team organization and personal skills are very high. System prompt. Please register your game character name. I've already thought of a name. Uncle Wang. Since we have all become brothers and sisters with Mr. Lin, it is certain that this uncle who is blaming his nephew will be accepted. System prompt. May I ask if there is a real name system on the internet that discloses the true identity of social groups? Iris fingerprint admission authentication required. For ordinary players, what the internet needs is to protect security and privacy, and of course, they are not willing to use real names. For those who want to cause trouble, the internet must also conceal their identity. Only celebrities dare to disclose their real name system. Wang Li shoulders the mission of his elder brother, and what he wants is to confront his group of professional experts as a real ordinary vegetable chicken. What he wants is for the public to drive away the group of women around him without doing anything behind the scenes. Of course, it must be made public. This requires courage. Wang Li alone does not lack courage, he fought hard. As for iris fingerprint authentication, it means that the account is bound to the player, which is equivalent to Lin Jing giving this sky-high priced account to Wang Li for an unknown amount of money. There is no contract, it is just a verbal agreement. This kind of effort really makes Wang Li, there is nothing to say, let's fight. System prompt. You have successfully passed the online real name verification, which is your responsible attitude towards the online gaming environment. You have been awarded the Honorary Citizen. Honorary citizens can receive discounts in the prop mall. And honorary citizens can receive an increase in NPC favorability. This game of course has a prop mall, where the best selling props are the world radio speaker and fashion skin. Fashion is purely personal and has no attributes. At the same time, improving the NPC favorability of honorary citizens is beneficial for accepting tasks or triggering hidden tasks. So as long as you are a professional team player, whether it is for promotional or business needs, you must always have your real name. System prompt. Your role attributes are as follows. Character level. Level 0. Each level up increases the player's health by 1 point and attributes by 1 point. Attribute points can only be selected to increase attack, defense, and magic. You can purchase point washing items in the item store, but they are not available for purchase in the current version. Attack speed +1, movement speed +1 for every 10 levels up, and promotion tasks are required every 10 levels. Attack. 2. Attack defense equals kill life. The higher the basic attack, the greater the player's strength when engaging in production and transportation. Strength is not increased by the attack attribute of equipment and achievement titles. Defense. 0. If the attack is less than or equal to defense, no health will be lost. Multiple attacks must be accumulated to force 1 point of health to be lost. The larger the difference between attack and defense, the more times it is accumulated. For example, if one attacks 2 defenses, it is necessary to attack 3 times to force the opponent to lose 1 point of health. If one attacks 10 defenses, it is necessary to accumulate 11 attacks to force 1 point of health to be lost. Health. 10. Damaged health can be automatically restored after the battle ends. The higher the basic defense, the faster the health recovery speed. If the health value is below 30% for a long time, a weak disease state will appear, reducing the attack and defense speed attribute. After the player dies, they will be resurrected in the city marked with the resurrection point, and a certain amount of money and experience points will be dropped. Attack speed. 1. The standard attack speed for normal humans, which refers to attacking once per unit time. The attack speed is higher and the attack speed is faster. For example, if an ordinary wild wolf has an attack speed of 3 or more, that is, if a human chops a wolf once, the wolf will attack the human first and can attack the human 3 times by grabbing and biting. Heavy weapons will reduce the attack speed. Players will increase their attack speed by 1 point every 10 levels. Movement speed. 1. The standard movement speed of a normal human. For example, the movement speed of a wild wolf is 3, which is 3 times faster than that of a human. Heavy armor and production handling will reduce movement speed. Players will increase their movement speed by 1 point every 10 levels. Magic. 0. 1 point of magic comes with 10 points of magic, and the basic power of the spell is measured by magic. For example, the basic power of Fireball is 5 magic, and the final power of Fireball is 5 plus player magic, magic defense. 0. Magic power. Magic defense equals kills life, physical defense cannot resist magic strikes. Skills. Smart communication. Human race skills can gain the trust of other races through various forms of communication and subdue monsters to become magical pets. Skills are divided into racial skills, combat skills, and production skills, which can be taught by village NPCs or learned by players themselves. Racial skills are innate. Magic pet. None. Magic pets can assist players in battle production. Pet eggs can be purchased through pet stores, dropped by killing monsters, and obtained by surrendering wild monsters. Dungeon monsters cannot be surrendered. Hero. The current version is not yet open, please stay tuned. This is the player attribute, very simple, and there is no fixed birth profession. The upgraded attribute points do not significantly improve the player's strength. The key is to level up by 10, which is a threshold that requires completing tasks to continue upgrading, and also a setting to prevent cheating at the training level. At level 10, the attack speed is 2, which is twice the blade and movement speed of level 9 players. This is a qualitative leap. After reaching level 10, the upgrade experience and weapon consumption have also made a qualitative leap. The calculation of attack and defense damage is based on the ancient classic game StarCraft 1, where attack defense equals life damage, and attack defense is an incredibly terrifying unbreakable defense, requiring multiple hits before forcibly losing 1 health. Then there are also body type corrections, where larger body types deal double the damage of smaller body types. Simply allowing any player to calculate the battle situation at a glance, freeing the server from boring damage calculations and dedicating themselves wholeheartedly to unlimited monster hunting. System prompt. Open the Lucky Player Newbie Gift Package Lottery in the mall. Good luck. Here we go. This is the most fair part. Draw. System prompt. Congratulations. You have obtained 4 skills. Airship Engineer, requires task activation, Architecture Master, requires task activation, Ballistic Master, requires task activation, and Weapon Master, requires task activation. Wang Li took a cold breath. This beginner gift package is really a fair eye-opener. All ordinary players can get as low-end goods such as mining, forging, gathering, and cooking. You can easily find NPC skill mentors in any town to learn. It takes a lot of effort and opportunity to learn the hidden divine skill of airship engineers. This is a world where players rely on NPC buses and airships to go out. Once a player has their own airship, it's hard to imagine. This is undoubtedly the preferred divine skill. Wang Li couldn't help but feel emotional. No wonder Mr. Lin opposed his son's view of games as a career. System prompt. Hello player Uncle Wang, you will enter the skill task activation scene. Are you ready to enter the game? Ready, start. Scene switching, Wang Li appears on a square called Blood Wall Village. Looking around, there is a circle of earth walls that are more than 10 floors high, with flames and smoke blazing outside. But there are no other players. That's right, ordinary players are born in big cities and need to obtain the qualification for further education in order to take airships to the most intense village front line. This is the treatment of a special account. The resources of the entire village belong to me alone. The alarm sounded. A big wave of monsters has attacked the village. All the soldiers will immediately go up the wall. System prompt. Newcomer, immediately report to the militia captain. His patience is only 30 seconds. Countdown. 29 seconds. Undoubtedly a special account. Play task countdown as soon as you come. Who knows where the militia captain is? I don't have time to ask. Wang Li's gaze swept and he saw the section of the city wall with the strongest smoke and flames. According to common sense, the captain should be on the most critical front line. Wang Li ran at full speed and indeed saw a big man wearing leather armor roaring on the city wall. Wang Li approached and reported, "Captain, I'm here." The captain of the militia pointed sternly at a dark cloud flying from afar and said, "Magic crows. The most basic and difficult monsters. They don't attack the city and only devour the corpses of monsters. Then stronger magic crows will be born, posing a huge threat to the kingdom's airships. You are the most talented fighter in our village, but without practical combat, your talent is nothing. Get your weapon, eliminate 50 magic crows in 1 minute and come find me again." Task tip. You have activated the professional training and racing task of Weapon Master, which will eliminate 50 magic crows within 1 minute, currently killing 0/50. Weapon Master is a profession that can significantly enhance the effectiveness of various weapons and armor. System prompt. You have obtained 1 newbie crossbow and 50 low-level crossbows. Novice crossbow. Attack 1, durability 30. Novice mission equipment cannot be traded, low-level crossbow. Attack 0.1, durability 1. Unable to trade, Wang Li was stunned. Shooting small flying monsters is the hardest part. Is this the test task of divine skills? And it's still 50 per minute. This ammunition filling time is completely insufficient. Is it necessary to have 1 arrow, 2 crows, 1 arrow, 3 crows? This is a realm that only professional experts can achieve, I can't even do it. End of this chapter. 3. Chapter 3 Leaving the Novice Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Leaving the Novice Village. Wang Li has diligently practiced the trial version and of course knows his level, it is impossible to achieve it. But this is an entry-level task for a divine skill, so it just failed. Wang Li had to ask the captain, "Captain, what if I can't do it?" The captain sternly said, "Our village has been surrounded by monsters for years, and normal farming and production are difficult to carry out. Our important supplies are all transported by airship, and our arrows are very precious and cannot be wasted. If you can't do it, then I will give up recommending you to the masters in the Wangdu." Abandon recommendation. Wang Li was surprised and said, "So my life is over." The captain said coldly, "You can go to another village to hire a famous teacher, or change your profession and move bricks to repair the city wall. Moving bricks and repairing walls is my specialty." Wang Li immediately became open-minded and said, "Captain, I can't do it. I'll just go move the bricks." The captain widened his eyes in disbelief and said, "You have a natural talent, so why don't you give up without trying?" Wang Li chuckled and said, "A person without confidence, trying is also a waste of resources. I won't waste precious resources in the village." The captain's face darkened and he said, "All right, the battle on the west wall is over and repairs are starting. Go find the foreman on the west wall and get lost." System prompt. Unfortunately, your weapon master training has failed, please keep working hard next time. It's good to have another time. Wang Li arrived at the west wall and found the foreman to report, "I'm here to help." The foreman was a skinny old man who chuckled and said, "It's the first time I've seen someone give up their high income and high honor high-end warrior training and come to repair the wall." Wang Li chuckled and said, "Teacher, in my opinion, the wall is the strongest warrior." The old man was very satisfied and said, "Young man, you not only have talent, but also consciousness. I will recommend a special mentor to you. In short, quickly follow them to the mud room to pick 10 barrels of mud and put them on the wall. Are you going to trigger the divine architecture master?" Wang Li gladly accepted the order and said, "Understood." Wang Li followed a group of villagers to queue up outside a mud room with a rolling chimney in the corner. Inside, there was a creaking sound of machines crushing, and then a stream of red and black mud squeezed out from the nozzle. Wang Li's eyebrows twitched as he looked. "What is this red color?" Without much thought, choose and leave. Then he went up to the wall, where there were large pits and cracks smashed by the stone-throwing machine everywhere. Rows of iron pipes were inserted into the wall, and then Wang Li poured this bucket of red mud into the iron pipes. System prompt. You have gained wall building experience plus 10. As a grassroots engineering worker, Wang Li naturally knows that this is called grouting, which is used to repair cracks in dams. I just never expected that this game would be so realistic, which is much more advanced than simply moving bricks and building walls. Then Wang Li suddenly saw a pile of teeth floating in the bucket. Bone scum. Wang Li was shocked and looked down at the wall again. Some villagers were salvaging charred magical corpses in the trench and piling them up on a cart. Then, they used a hand-operated elevator to pull up the city wall, and another elevator on the inner wall was used to transport them back to the village. Then, the cart pushed towards the mud room just now. I'll strangle it. Wang Li finally understood why this village is called Blood Wall Village, it's too harsh. It truly deserves to be the starting village of a special account, completely different from the strategy. After picking 10 barrels of mud, Wang Li obtained 100 experience in building walls and reported it to the foreman. The foreman asked, "Young man, have you found anything?" Wang Li replied, "It seems that our village uses the corpses of monsters as wall repair materials." The foreman asked in a low voice, "What do you think?" Wang Li awkwardly said, "Using local materials and making the most of everything is really great." The foreman nodded and said, not only that. Have you seen that chimney? We also use their corpses to refine oil, which is used as fuel for airships. The kingdom's airships regularly come to receive and exchange food, weapons, and medicine. The heavy waste oil is used to defend the village, and the city wall made of flesh and blood can bless black magic. This is the value of our village. A village without value is difficult to sustain in this chaotic world for a long time. You can go to the mud room, and that master can teach you a unique skill. Generally, talented people will not teach it. However, when you see him, you may be startled, but don't ask anything, just press. His instruction to study is enough. It is indeed a special account. Wang Li was overjoyed and said, thank you for the introduction, teacher. Wang Lixing rushed to the mud room and knocked on the door. Master, I was recommended by the foreman. The door opened through a crack, and a sinister atmosphere mixed with deafening mechanical clangs rushed towards us. Under the sparkling blue light, more than 10 thin figures were shaking the boiler like machinery. Wang Li was shocked on the spot. These 10 figures are clearly a group of skeleton monsters with red names on their heads. Is it an enemy? Are you the servant of the great wizard? A sharp voice came from the inner room. Come on. His voice is not loud, but it is particularly clear amidst the mechanical noise all over the house. He is a master. Wang Li arrived in the inner room, a room filled with smoke and bottles resembling a chemistry laboratory, and then saw a black-robed man with a red name on his head and an indistinct face. Red NPC. I'll strangle it. Wang Li only knows about the red-named players who have committed PK crimes, and he never expected to encounter a red-named NPC on a mission. Under normal circumstances, hostile NPCs cannot communicate and directly engage in combat. Okay, this is a special account. Calm down. The red NPC made a gloomy and hoarse voice, indicating, according to the recipe on the table, crush the bones and flesh of the monsters into 3 different densities of bone debris in meat puree. System prompt. You have activated the professional training task of Master Architecture. Architectural masters are able to build city walls, arrow towers, and other facilities more quickly and firmly, with additional architectural attributes, and even construct miraculous buildings. Activate the divine skill. But this is clearly an undead wizard, right? Wang Li completed his formula with extreme discomfort and a tingling scalp. System prompt. Congratulations. You have comprehended the formula of Level 1 Flesh and Blood Concrete. Did you learn it right away? It's too simple. Wang Li's discomfort was instantly swept away, and as he was about to make further efforts, the red NPC said in a deep voice, you can leave now. Wang Li was shocked and said, let's go. I just learned this a little bit. Isn't that enough? Wang Li's eyes exploded with a red light. System prompt. Warning. You are in crisis, immediately avoid and escape. I'll strangle it. Are you really going to take action? Wang Li had no choice but to run out of the house in a disheveled manner. This lingering unwillingness is truly indescribable. Wang Li asked the villagers who were picking buckets at the door, the master inside. Everyone's faces changed and they said, don't ask. We don't know. Another villager said, the village chief is waiting for you at the square. Alright, I finally see the supreme existence of this village. Let's ask him to understand. Wang Li arrived at the square, and an elderly man with white hair and a broken leg, covered in scars, waved at him while leaning on a crutch. He must have had many brave stories when he was young. Wang Li stood in awe and said, hello village chief. The village chief nodded and said, young man, I believe you also see that the survival of our village is not easy. In this situation, collecting any available resources is our survival rule, so I will teach you 2 basic skills. System prompt. The village chief of Blood Wall Village will teach you level 1 collection techniques and level 1 mining techniques. Collecting techniques can collect medicinal materials from herbs and demonic corpses, while mining techniques can extract mineral materials from ores. The higher the proficiency in collection, the better the collection effect. System prompt. You have received a newbie collection hoe and mining pick as a gift from the village head of Blood Wall Village. Collecting hoe. Attack 0, durability 50. Mining pickaxe. Attack 0.1, durability 50. Although it is a bad street skill that any player can learn, the NPC's proactive teaching saved Wang Li a bit of trouble. However, most players in this game kill monsters on the city walls, and equipment drops directly into the player's package. There are few opportunities to touch corpses to collect additional loot, and the collected items are usually garbage, with little use except for missions. Although mining is useful, the outside of the city is not a place for ordinary players to go out, and its usefulness is actually not significant. Wang Li replied, "Thank you, village chief." The village chief said, "Our village cannot teach you more at the moment. You should go to a wider area to experience and learn. Did you leave the novice village so soon?" Wang Li was surprised and said, "Can't we teach at the moment? Does that mean that master can teach in the future?" The village chief shook his head and said, "Don't ask about the master anymore. You can go to other villages to learn their unique defensive skills. We also hope that you can come back to rescue the village in the future. To be honest, the kingdom will soon have an airship passing by our village. I recommend you to go up and experience it. You have airship talent, and you must study hard. You are the hope of our entire village." As he spoke, the bell rang and an airship appeared over the high wall over the village. Airship. The career tasks for this special account are really tight and tight. Well, compared to repairing walls, airships are the ultimate skill, and you won't give up no matter what. Wang Li exclaimed excitedly, "Don't worry, village chief. I will definitely study hard." The airship slowly drifted over the village, and a door at the bottom of the boat opened. A bundle of supplies slowly hung down, and the villagers unloaded the supplies and put more than 10 barrels of local specialty fuel on top. The village chief said, "Young man, hold on to the rope too. Take care. Take care, everyone." System prompt. Your reputation in Blood Wall Village plus 100. System prompt. You can use reputation values instead of coins to exchange goods in the corresponding village. Accumulating reputation points can upgrade reputation levels. Positive reputation is divided into multiple levels: neutral, friendly, respectful, revered, worshipped, and worshipped. When reputation reaches respect, it can start the construction task of the village. Higher level reputation can trigger higher level hidden tasks. End of this chapter. 4. Chapter 4 Boarding an Airship. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4 Boarding an Airship. Wang Li and the cargo were hoisted onto an airship, which was actually just a large hot air balloon hanging a ship. Then the divine skill mission appeared as expected. System prompt. You have initiated the professional training task for Airship Engineer. Airship engineers are a special profession capable of piloting, maintaining, repairing, and even manufacturing airships. Task information. According to the Carrier Pigeon's report, one of our airships made an emergency landing on Jingji Mountain due to malfunction. They are about to be besieged by monsters, and we must quickly go to rescue and repair that airship. Newcomer, this is your rare opportunity to learn airships. You must give it your all and obey orders like a soldier. System prompt. You will receive 1 newbie sword, 1 apprentice toolkit, 1 low-level healing bandage roll, and 100 low-level crossbows and arrows. Novice sword. Attack 2, durability 50. Novice mission equipment cannot be traded, low-level treatment bandage. Restores 0.3 health points, stops bleeding, used 10 times. We have equipment again. It has to be said that equipment is an eternal element of the game, and equipment durability is the main feature of this game. While unlimited monster hunting is enjoyable, the consumption of weapons is also quite fast, and players may need to carry several weapons on their bodies. This is not only a huge gaming industry chain, but also a setting to prevent cheating at the training level. Worth mentioning are bows, crossbows, and arrows. For a tower defense game, crossbow is definitely a compulsory course for every player, and the damage calculation is based on the damage of the crossbow itself plus the damage of the arrow. Wang Li's new crossbow and arrow set deal 0.2 damage. Bows are difficult to use, have high durability, and receive player attack attribute bonuses. Crossbows are easy to use mechanically, but they are not affected by player attribute bonuses and have low durability. The durability of arrows is extremely low, usually only 1 point, and once used, they may be scrapped, but fortunately, if the durability does not return to 0, they can be recycled. The challenge facing Wang Li now is to complete the mission under the siege of wild monsters. After witnessing the trial mission of the Weapon Master, Wang Li can fully imagine the difficulty. Even if there is an NPC army on the ship, it may not be that easy. A bespectacled man wearing a technician's uniform came over and said, "Newcomer, learning machines starts with maintaining them. Come with me to the computer room and clean all the oil stains and rust." Understood. The man with glasses said in a deep voice, "You have to answer." "Yes, sir." "You are a new recruit now, not an adventurer." "Yes, sir." Wang Li arrived at the bustling computer room and was truly shocked by the boiler in front of him. There were thick oil stains everywhere, like those on a kitchen range hood. How long has it been since maintenance? And the thought that these oils were extracted from monsters made Wang Li extremely uncomfortable. Wipe the boiler clean first. This bottle is for removing oil and alkali. After speaking, the man with glasses leisurely sat down holding a stack of newspapers. The cover page of the newspaper suddenly features a glamorous and cool magical girl. Wang Li doesn't feel like the situation is that right. Okay, obey the command. After struggling for half a day, there was finally a reward. System prompt. You have cleaned the oil stains on the airship boiler and gained airship engineer experience +1. Experience +1. I'll strangle it, why don't I pick 1/10 of a bucket of feces? The man with glasses said leisurely, this is an airship, a manifestation of the highest technology in the kingdom. Do you think it's so easy to learn? Keep working hard. Yes, sir. Despite this, Wang Li was not the kind of person to exert foolish powers. He rubbed and probed while asking, "Sir, the balloons on our airship feel very fragile. What if we encounter a giant dragon?" The man with glasses chuckled and said, "Then we'll make a profit. Our airship and crossbow will unleash all our firepower and perish with it." Wang Li exclaimed, "Is this also called earning?" The man with glasses smiled and said, "Of course it earns. How many years and resources does it take to grow a giant dragon? How much time and resources does it take to build an airship and raise a group of soldiers? I can't wait for it. I'll wipe it. I don't want to die together. If I fail, any profit or loss will be a loss." Wang Li continued to ask, where were the airships of the kingdom made? Are these screw parts handmade by blacksmiths or made on assembly lines? The man with glasses said in a deep voice, "This is a military secret. Anyone who knows it will achieve extraordinary success." Do you want to know? Wang Li became enthusiastic and said, "Think." The man with glasses emitted a chilling light in his lenses. If you can clean the walls of the computer room within 30 minutes, I'll tell you the answer. System prompt. You have obtained a racing training task and need to clean the computer room within 30 minutes. Wang Li is simply unbelievable. It's racing again, is this task difficult? Can military secrets be obtained after completion? There's no time to think, race against time. But as soon as he got started, Wang Li immediately realized that the task was not that simple. If the boiler hasn't been cleaned in a month, the wall probably hasn't been cleaned in a year, and this thickness cannot be compared to a boiler. However, as a wall painter, I still know the techniques for cleaning windows in the field of home economics. When encountering such a situation, I cannot simply push hard all the way, but rather need to have the skills to brush twice or even 3 times. First brush, 10 minutes, focus on wiping off the large oil stains that have clumped together. Not removing them will only make them darker and darker. The second brush lasts for 10 minutes, mainly to apply the cleaning agent to the entire wall. The initial brush of the cleaning agent has 10 minutes to corrode and soften the oil stains. Third brush, sprint with all your might and push all the way flat. 29 minutes and 20 seconds, the task is completed. The computer room is as shiny and lickable as a toilet that has been cleaned with toilet cleaner. Wang Li looked excitedly into his eyes and said, "Sir." The man with glasses closed the newspaper and nodded in satisfaction, "Well done, second only to me back then." The answer is military secrets, I don't know either. Wang Li suspected that he had heard it wrong and said, "Sir, don't you know?" "I really don't know." "I need to know, I must have been a marshal." "I'll strangle it. NPC is teasing me. Can this game be played?" The glasses man helped his glasses again and said, "But new recruits who don't want to be marshals are not good soldiers. I'll give you this textbook from the military academy, which includes some of my notes. You show me who I was back then." System prompt. "Congratulations. You will receive the task reward skill book Airship Maintenance Manual, and after completing the research, you will obtain the qualification of Junior Airship Engineer. The current research progress is 0%. Wang Li was excited, so this is the task reward. The value of this wall eraser. At this moment, the airship alarm sounded. Warning. The airship encountered the attack of flying monsters, and all members stepped out of the cabin to fight. Wang Li immediately followed the man with glasses out of the cabin, with a wide field of vision, and then saw a group of dark magic crows flying around. Wang Li's head is big, why is it a demon crow again? Wait. Wang Li just saw another airship next to him, and suddenly there was a player on the deck of that airship. The name on top of my head is Tianhao Hero. I'll make a big mistake, isn't this Lin Tianhao? He always uses this name for any game he plays live streaming. Wang Li quickly checked his character information, yes, real name registration, Lin Tianhao. Wang Li was stunned. What situation is it? Did he also buy a special account? Does he also have the divine skill of this airship engineer? Wang Li is conflicted. Although his task is to confront him, his account is playing in the later stages. At this time, he is no different from an ordinary player and has no advantage or confidence at all. I can only see the machine operator numb the other party beforehand. Wang Li took the initiative to shout and greet, "You are Lin Tianhao. I am your fan." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Lin Tianhao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Lin Tianhao Xinjiang Future Science and Technology City is a science fiction-style tourist attraction in Xinjiang, the largest high-tech product exhibition market in China, and also a gathering place for various animation products. Tianjiao Internet Cafe is the largest and most luxurious internet cafe in this urban area. The second floor of the internet cafe is Lin Tianhao's Tianjiao team training base. The biggest feature of this cyber cafe is that there are many little sisters playing with cosplay game characters dancing, the anime food restaurant run by famous chefs, the commodity cabinets around the stars around the game, and the large display wall for competitions in the hall on the first floor, which can undertake various medium-sized electronic competitions. Lin Tianhao no longer relies on internet cafes to make money. Now he is taking on various competitions and endorses celebrity advertisements for esports traffic. But internet cafes are the foundation of being people-oriented. Only with internet cafes can we create a playground-like atmosphere and facilitate fan support gatherings, which is essential. Half a year ago, Lin Tianhao had already completed the layout and shifted all focus to the new game, Tower Defense World, and all professional players began training for the trial version. Lin Tianhao is full of confidence in the commercialization of this game itself. And more importantly, according to insider information, this game will be upgraded to a diamond coin that surpasses gold coins in the later stage, equivalent to the digital currency circulating in foreign markets, which will rise to the field of international finance, and the prospects are unimaginable. So Lin Tianhao quietly found channels to customize a high-end account. The pain of spending money is even more painful. This is not what Lin Tianhao is willing to do, but if he doesn't do it himself, others will do the same. Lin Tianhao, as a high-end player for many years, really understands the mentality of players, especially wealthy players. However, high-end players are not Lin Tianhao's positioning for themselves. With their own skills, they should be professional players. This is their dream and expertise. But what's despicable is that my father doesn't understand, and he doesn't understand and looks down on esports, thinking it's a waste of time. He demands his son to play high-tech and high employment. But he makes quick money by playing in real estate, making big money. So high, he looks down on himself and can't even run a manufacturing factory with tens of thousands of people. Why should he let his son play in manufacturing? Lin Tianhao ran away from home a few years ago, just to prove that he can still develop even without the support of his father, and he is not a wealthy second generation who fights for his father. For his peers in his 20s, Lin Tianhao has succeeded, but compared to his father's decades of success, that is still far from enough. But don't worry, this game is out. The commercial potential and hardcore strength of this game far exceed any other game in the past, and this new era of business opportunities is not something that Dad can understand with his old-fashioned style. Lin Tianhao has set his goal, relying solely on this game to catch up with his father's achievements and leave him speechless. As the server was about to open, Lin Tianhao sat in the SCI-style glass office on the third floor, overlooking all the helmeted members of the Tianjiao team on the second floor, ready to stand by. Two beautiful secretaries, Ling Xian and Zi Wan, received relevant information from the display wall. This feeling is like the captain of a galactic warship fully equipped and ready to go. At midnight, the game officially opens. Captain Galaxy gave the order. All team members, log into the game. Received. Lin Tianhao knows that he has missed out on the best age range to become a professional player, but he cannot be too far behind the professional level. We need to let these young and energetic young brothers who can only play games know that the boss is always the boss. It is not only their comprehensive abilities that crush them, but they are also capable of leading them in their areas of expertise. So Lin Tianhao works very hard. Enter the game, choose a name, and continue to be a proud hero. In fact, when buying an account, the name has already been predetermined, and it is impossible for others to rush to register. Similar homophones such as Hero Tianjiao, and Sweet Pepper have all been bought out, so as not to let others register a small account to disgust themselves. Lucky Draw Skills. Airship Engineer, requires task activation, Weapon Master, requires task activation. Nice. Having two divine level skills at the beginning of the game, one is a strategic skill that affects the game's layout, and the other is a personal combat skill that attracts superfans. This money is not in vain. Especially this airship engineer, he's just trying to grab a job from a gaming company. Can an average person get it? Lin Tianhao couldn't help but laugh and said, "Bakun, Xiaoxue, I know you must have bought them too. Do you have these two skills? Enter the game Beginner's Village." Then, he struggled to complete the instructor's 10-wave village guarding race monster killing mission and received the recommendation of the Weapon Master. At this moment, Lin Tianhao truly realized the difficulty of the divine skill task. At the end of the day, even if programmers can be bribed, intelligent systems cannot be bribed, and the system itself will not allow such a thing that reduces the lifespan of the game to happen. Lin Tianhao feels a bit regretful about not having a real name system, otherwise he could have the top experts below take over. Then board the airship and trigger the professional mission of the airship engineer. The main task is to rescue a falling airship at Jingji Mountain, and the small task is to clean the boiler room within 30 minutes. But the small task failed, wasting 30 minutes in vain. What is this situation? Even if there are top experts to play for, it's impossible to clean it up, right? This is no longer difficult, but the system deliberately makes things difficult. Lin Tianhao was deeply lost in thought. If a cleaning task is so difficult, then the rescue task must be extremely difficult, and novice players who have just entered the game will find it difficult to do anything in the wilderness. Once led by the system's nose, subsequent tasks will only become increasingly difficult. Lin Tianhao thought about it and switched the game screen to the external display wall, saying, Ling Xin, Z1, help me figure out what would happen if I go the other way, intentionally fail to complete this task, or crash the airship I am currently riding on. Okay. What does Hauge mean? Lin Tianhao smiled and said, of course, we're killing all the NPCs. Then we're organizing a massive number of players to go out of the city and approach the wreckage of the airship. We'll grab as many parts as we can. We'll assemble the airship ourselves, which is much better than being an apprentice under the NPC for a long time. Moreover, there are many high-end military crossbows on the airship, which is also a good product that players do not have. Combining so many crossbow components is still very likely to assemble 1 or 2 new crossbows, which is more practical than assembling an airship. The two women smiled and said, Brother Hao is not taking the usual path again. Lin Tianhao smiled arrogantly and said, real high-end players don't play cards according to routines and will never follow the task arrangement. That's right, Lin Tianhao has a rebellious personality and his way of thinking has always been reverse thinking. Lin Tianhao firmly believes that 90% of people are stupid. This does not mean that others have low intelligence. If you look at them individually, no one is actually foolish. However, when these people gather together, they will form a herd effect, and even the smartest person will become foolish. So Lin Tianhao thinks he is very clear-headed. As long as the public thinks that movies, TV shows, stock trends, and marketing are good, Lin Tianhao will definitely go against the trend. This is indeed one of the reasons why Lin Tianhao has achieved remarkable success in recent years. For the two beautiful secretaries around them, they have had an unpleasant experience, and others think they are prostitutes, especially my father hates this kind of thing the most. However, Lin Tianhao goes against the trend and absolutely trusts them. Because the more they have a bad reputation with others, the more they will wholeheartedly rely on themselves. What is even more precious is that they can coexist harmoniously without excluding other beauties, allowing Lin Tianhao to enjoy all the gentleness. For women, what Lin Tianhao truly pursues is Xiao Xue, who looks up to the team. Her background is enough to save him decades of struggle. Lin Tianhao envies her even more for having a good father. Why can her father spoil the child and make him do whatever he wants? My father is like an enemy. Unfortunately, she has too high an eye for herself and always feels like a playboy relying on her father. In fact, another reason why Lin Tianhao ran away from home is because of her. Lin Tianhao also needs to prove to her that he cannot rely on his father, which is the true strength of a man. System prompt. Warning. The airship encountered the attack of flying monsters, and all members stepped out of the cabin to fight. As soon as you start fighting, to what extent will the difficulty level gradually increase? Lin Tianhao arrived at the deck outside the cabin and was shocked to find another airship next to him. Suddenly, there was a player watching him on the airship. Uncle Wang. How could it be? Shouldn't ordinary players be born in the big city square? Is he also a purchased account? Lin Tianhao hurriedly checked the other party's information, real name registration, Wang Li, delivery drivers, bricklayers, security guards. What a mess. Who is this special? How could such people possibly have channels? Is it a substitute trainer? But this is a real name account, where did it come from to practice? Draw other related skills in a lottery. Is it possible? At this moment, the other party shouted, Lin Tianhao, I am your fan. I don't have such fans, my fans call me Hauga. Lin Tianhao felt nauseous as if he had eaten a fly and quickly instructed, first, check if there is anyone in our industry named Wang Li. Good Ling Xian smiled and said, Brother Hao, isn't this just an airship that can be tested? Pit it, you can test Brother Hao's ideas, avoid the risk of mission failure, and eliminate a competitor. Kill 3 birds with 1 stone. The Purple Aster also said. Based on my preliminary assessment, if the NPC configuration of the opponent's airship is the same as our ship, then if the 2 boats work together, back situation will be formed to greatly compensate for the dead angle. The difficulty of this task will be reduced to only 1/4, but the intelligent system will never allow this situation to occur. The most likely thing is that the difficulty of the task will suddenly increase to 2.4 times, which is beyond our capacity, so it is very necessary to pit the opponent's airship. This is the talent of a female secretary. Although they are not good at game controls, their vision is definitely coach level. Lin Tianhao was very satisfied and said, so, he came just in time. Alright, let's stabilize him first and take action when the battle gets fierce. Compared to StarCraft 1 again, I have revised the setting for attack defense. If the attack is less than the defense, no health will be lost. You must accumulate multiple attacks before forcibly losing 1 point of health. For example, if you attack 2 defenses, you need to attack 2 times to make the opponent lose 1 health. If you attack 10 defenses, you need to accumulate 10 attacks and force the opponent to lose 1 health. The setting of StarCraft 1 is that as long as the attack is less than defense, they will be hit twice and forced to lose 1 health. This results in high defense units facing low attack farmers and gunmen without distinction. However, this book downplays the data. End of this chapter. Chapter 6 is about playing accidental injuries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Playing with Accidental Injury. Wang Li received a reply from Lin Tianhao, let's work together. You're responsible for hitting your side, I'll hit my side. I'll take you flying. Wang Li cooperated very well and said, understood. It's not possible whether or not to cooperate. NPC is the captain, and they are all starting to get close to each other back to back. Wang Li guessed that the other party must have gone to check his own information, right? Wang Li doesn't believe that he will really join forces, otherwise such a naive son would disappoint his older brother. So it depends on when we start. This question really stumps Wang Li. It is definitely not possible to directly PK the opponent, let alone attack their airship, because they will be punished by NPC allies, which is beyond the ability of Wang Li, an amateur chicken. Will the opponent take action on the airship? Anyway, let's first level up by defeating monsters. The group of demonic crows roared and Wang Li raised his crossbow in vain, aiming for a while. However, he was blinded by the demonic crow show, and the airship itself was also swaying, making it impossible to see accurately. He wasted 5 arrows, but instead, the NPC was well trained and hit surprisingly well. Okay, don't waste ammunition, keep the big ones for the next wave. Wang Li turned around and glanced at the airship across from him, only to see Lin Tianhao shoot through 3 magic crows with 1 arrow. Lying trough. Wang Li was stunned, this kid is amazing. How did it happen? Wang Li felt immense pressure. The group of demon crows was quickly defeated, leaving numerous scratches on the balloons. The sky is once again densely packed and flying. System prompt. Warning. Encountering a stone statue ghost, beginners immediately go to the designated turret in the inner cabin and position themselves. Stone statue ghost. Wang Li was shocked again. Although the stone statue ghost was big and slow, ordinary arrow branches couldn't move at all. Only a dozen or so arrows lost 1 point of health. From the demon raven to the stone statue ghost, this mission tests the abilities of beginners completely, relying solely on crossbow bombardment. And the words of crossbows, Wang Li has finally found a way to use crossbows to kill the opponent. But it's not just a direct bombardment, but after hitting a stone statue ghost, the arrow's momentum does not decrease and pierces it, and then hits the opponent's airship. This will only be judged as accidental injury by the system, and the player will have a yellow name instead of a PK red name. Huangming will not be directly punished by Hongming, but it may reduce NPC's favorability. But this is even more difficult than shooting the magic crow, and it also requires the use of bow guns with a large turning range, rather than crossbow guns on both sides of the airship against the enemy. Wang Li immediately entered the cabin, and an NPC old man had already waved in front of a side gun. "Newcomer, come here. I will teach you how to use the crossbow correctly to aim, and then you can follow my command to fire." System prompt. You have initiated the professional training task for Ballistic Master. Ballistic Engineering Master is a special profession that can enhance the effectiveness of long-range weapons, apply parabolic trajectories, and perform simple maintenance on crossbows. Although it's a good thing to have launched another divine skill mission, Wang Li couldn't be happy at all. Of course, the position of this gun is against the enemy from the outside, so we can't cause any trouble. Wang Li hesitated and asked, "Can I use the bow gun?" The old man said in a deep voice, "Newcomers need to be down to earth. Look at your record, do you think you can use such a crucial artillery position?" Wang Li was horrified, but Lin Tianhao's record is good. Can he use it? Okay, now we can only hope that the situation of this ballistic master will improve. Lin Tianhao quickly killed the demon crow and advanced to level 1, with 1 arrow double crow 6 times and 1 arrow 3 crow 5 times. Professional players have a secret technique for killing bird flocks, which is that the movement of the magic crows is regular. Their attacks are not chaotic, but a few crows will spiral and gather to form a goose formation pattern for diving. The advantage of the goose formation is that the airflow stirred by the preceding crow will save the following crows a lot of effort. As long as you keep an eye on this situation and find the right angle, you can easily shoot 2 birds with 1 arrow. Lin Tianhao is not very satisfied with this result, mainly because Wang distracted himself from observing. The result is that this king's level dish has spicy eyes. What situation is it? Now, Lin Tianhao has arrived at the side gun of the gun compartment to welcome a new round of challenges. The appearance of the stone statue ghost means that the difficulty has skyrocketed to more than 4 times that of the first wave of demon crows, and the difficulty behind it is unimaginable. During the interval before the war, Lin Tianhao listened to the analysis of Xiaomi. Ling Xian was puzzled and said, "Brother Hao, I just checked and found out that there is no one in the industry who is called Wang Li. I haven't heard of any CEO using this name, unless he is a substitute, but it doesn't make sense to be a substitute for such a dish. Moreover, it doesn't make sense to be a real name substitute. It's impossible to just pretend. At this point, all you're doing is upgrading and improving your performance, winning the favor of NPCs and striving for more permissions. Pretending is completely giving up." Ziwen said, "The opponent is still at level 0, and neither their achievements nor abilities can pose a threat to us. Hauge needs to continue to work hard with his crossbows to achieve good results and strive for the right to use the bow gun. The cockpit is the key landing and attack area for monsters, and then we can kill the captain of the opponent's cockpit through accidental injury." Lin Tianhao took a deep breath and said, "Well, regardless of his background, this time I just need to do my own thing well." It's 2 a.m. now. The battle between the airships on both sides was very intense, and the hand-to-hand combat between the NPC army on the deck and the gargoyles became even more intense. Lin Tianhao also quickly rose to level 5 with excellent kills. As expected, Lin Tianhao's outstanding performance compared to NPC soldiers was appreciated by the captain. Newcomer, I have arranged for you to go to the bow gun. I hope you can play a greater role in more important positions. Nice. Hauga, come on. Lin Tianhao immediately positioned his bow gun, with a conical range of 270 degrees. The cockpit of the adjacent airship was completely within the strike angle, and such a close distance was enough to penetrate the cockpit. Moreover, what was even more perfect was that two stone statues were already pressing against the outside of the cockpit and smashing doors. The difficulty of even the most difficult aiming operation for accidental injury was almost zero, and Lin Tianhao couldn't help but laugh out loud. Wang Li also rose to level 3 in a confused manner, obtaining 3 attribute points, with nothing to say, and adding defense to all of them. Survival is the top priority for newcomers in such a chaotic mission environment. In the future, it will be resolved by washing some points. At this point, Wang Li's confidence was a bit shattered. The reason why divine skills are divine skills is because they are not easy to learn. For example, when a normal player uses a crossbow, they aim at the target, but this NPC old man is not aiming at the target, but rather at the direction of the target's advance, sealing off the position. The reason is of course simple, but learning it is not the same thing. Especially heavy machines like crossbows rotate slowly and are difficult to operate. This game is easy to relax, but difficult to master. And when he thought about himself being promoted to level 3, how many levels did Lin Tianhao reach? Wang Li increasingly felt that the crisis was approaching. At this moment, the airship suddenly shook. System prompt. Warning. The cockpit was damaged, and the captain of the airship was accidentally injured by friendly crossbows. The first mate took over as the captain. Wang Li's face changed, he took action. He can really cause accidental injuries. At this moment, Wang Li felt really cold inside and didn't know what to say. Gap, this is the gap. He's not a professional player yet, so can those skilled players under him still handle it? Brother, do you really want me to be such a vegetable chicken to fight against them? Or rather, send a text message to my brother now to comfort him. Brother, my nephew has a dark heart and ruthless hands. He is a material for doing big things. In the midst of confusion, the airship swayed again. System prompt. Warning. The first mate was accidentally injured by a friendly crossbow, and the engineering technician immediately went to the driver's cab to take over the driver. I have a big problem. My nephew is really good. Wang Li won't sit idly by, at least he can still curse. Anyway, he can hear the regional channel shouting for free. Wang Li roared angrily, Lin Tianhao, where is the agreed upon alliance? Do you deserve your status as a celebrity by doing this? Do you deserve the expectations of so many fans? Lin Tianhao immediately retorted, is there any way to accidentally injure me? Your airships are all going to be occupied by monsters. Don't be Bai Lian, Labor Management Forum exposes you. I also have reason to go to the forum. Of course, Wang Li cannot appear on the forum. This account has a confidentiality agreement, and even without it, he cannot compete with so many sailors. Desperate, there is a kind of helplessness that is to sit idly by. Wang Li seems to be able to experience the emotions of his older brother standing on the rooftop at that time. System prompt. Warning. The engineering technician was accidentally injured by a friendly crossbow gun, and the backup personnel immediately went to the driver's cab to take over the driver. I'll wipe it. Is he a man with glasses? Did the man with eyes also hang up? At this moment, the NPC old man spoke up. Newcomer. Although you don't have the qualifications to pilot airships at all, as an airship engineer trainee, you are currently the only backup candidate who can pilot airships. Go to the cockpit immediately to take over the driving. Wang Li was suddenly taken aback. Am I driving? I'm driving. At that moment, Wang Li looked over with ecstasy in his heart and said, I'm driving. With such a big airship, I can fly wherever I want. The old man urged, go quickly, you are the only hope for our entire boat. I'll strangle it. The crown prince has died, the second prince has died, the third prince has died, and then I, who is the least likely to ascend the throne, will become the emperor. The willows are dark and the flowers are bright, haha. Wang Li, who had figured it out, rushed to the bloodshot cab and lay down before stepping through the door. He raised his hand and turned the steering wheel on his head. Even if he couldn't drive at all, he still knew how to turn. As long as the cockpit avoids the range of his bow gun, he accidentally injured a chicken feather. End of this chapter. 7. At the beginning of Chapter 7, airships will be launched. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Starting with airships, Lin Tianhao killed 3 drivers in a row, and Huang Ming's accidental injury on his head was as dazzling as gold. Victory is within reach. But the scolding of that Wang or something still caught Lin Tianhao's guard, so he instructed. Notify the moderators of several friendly forums and the bloggers of big self-media, as long as it involves cursing me, all posts will be deleted and banned. Got it, brother Hao. Lin Tianhao's thoughts became active. Calculate and pay attention to where this airship will fall, which nearby village is closest, and then we will gather more than a dozen studio personnel on a bus airship to gather in that village for standby. If we can rush out, we will rush. If we can't rush out, we will brush monsters and level up in that village. When the equipment level is improved enough, we will rush. If necessary, we will invest that village into the first base of our team. Okay, brother Hao. As he was speaking, the opposite airship began to turn sharply. Lin Tianhao was taken aback and said, what's the situation? Is this the airship losing control? Ziwen frowned and said, no, if we lose control, the amplitude of the airship won't be so large, but there should be a tremor. Ling Xian was shocked and said, did the NPC turn? Lin Tianhao was shocked and said, it's impossible. This is a perfect accidental injury, and it shouldn't affect the joint tactics of the 2 airships. Is it? Lin Tianhao's face was full of disbelief and he said, is it that Wang something is opening up? Ling Xian was puzzled and said, this has never happened in the beta version. This is an NPC airship, which is the airship of the system. Can players drive it? Ziwen frowned and said, in theory, Hauge's airship engineer can operate any airship. Is that person also an airship engineer? An ominous feeling surged in Lin Tianhao's heart. He quickly switched into the game and rushed towards the cockpit, saying, Captain, may I ask if my airship engineer can operate an airship? The captain was furious and said, you're such a damn engineer. Who made you leave your duty without permission? Such a foolish incident of accidentally injuring allies has happened to you one after another, and I'm very disappointed in you. Get back to me, you must use your military achievements to make up for this foolish mistake of accidentally injuring allies. I haven't even dared my dad, I'm afraid you're just an NPC. Lin Tianhao's rebellious blood exploded. I just want to know. At that moment, Lin Tianhao suddenly hesitated. It was because he was not my father that he was terrifying. Lin Tianhao returned to the gun position with a disheveled face, as the airship began to move away. Lin Tianhao's pupils narrowed slightly in surprise. Needless to say, this is what players are doing. What kind of bug operation is it when a player can open a system airship at the beginning of the game's server launch? And this bug is still self-caused. Ling Xian comforted, Brother Hao, don't worry. Even if the opponent has the skills of an airship engineer, it is completely impossible for beginners to perform the most critical landing operation. Not to mention that the opponent's airship is damaged everywhere, let alone something that beginners can operate. When it runs out of fuel, it will still be difficult to avoid crashing. Ziwen also comforted, yes, even if the airship is piloted by the player, the sovereignty of the airship still belongs to the NPC. As long as the NPC encounters it, it will still be taken back by the system, and the player cannot possess it. Okay, probably that's all I can do to comfort myself. But in this game that has already been influenced by the opponent, either winning or losing, it is impossible to return to the previous task state. Since the trap has failed, we can only go one way to the dark and find a way to trap ourselves. And the pit itself is also simple, wasting ammunition and waiting to be captured by monsters. Wang Li has escaped from the trap, but the situation remains severe. Half of the stone statues are still being chased, and the battle on the deck continues. But Wang Li's mood is completely different. What is the level of being able to open an NPC airship as soon as you enter the game? If this airship belongs to me like this, what kind of realm would it be? This is the rhythm of playing for 1 or 2 hours and then surpassing other professional players to play for 1 or 2 years. Isn't that enough to crush my nephew? As soon as Wang Li thought of this, his heart was filled with excitement. But this is obviously impossible. The intelligent system cannot make such a low-level mistake. If I really want to embezzle it, the NPC may be looking for me everywhere. So, how can we do something big before the system recycles this airship? System prompt. Warning. The right rear balloon cable of the airship is damaged, affecting the balance of the airship. Wang Li immediately regained his senses. He had thought too much, and it was hard to say whether he could pass the level of this stone statue ghost. What should I do if the cable breaks? The technicians are all dead, it's impossible to fix it. Also, what if the fuel for the airship runs out? Line trough. How to land? I'm still a beginner who hasn't attended classes all day, I don't even know how to do it. System prompt. Warning. More than half of the combat personnel on the airship deck are injured and urgently need reinforcements. At this moment, the voice of the old man NPC came from the cabin. Hold on, kid, I'm going to reinforce the deck. Wang Li's heart tightened. At least this old NPC taught him for an hour, and he is also a very important ballistic teacher. How can he get on the front line? How to reinforce? Wang Li saw a large village called Shiqiang village on the ground ahead, surrounded by a dense array of monsters attacking the village. That's it. Lead the monster to it and let the village's anti-aircraft firepower take down the statue ghost. Although Wang Li does not land, the label on the control panel simply indicates the usage of forward, backward, left, and right lifting, which should be an operation that can only be activated by the airship engineer profession. And there is also a glass lens on the bottom of the foot, which can see the situation of the ship's bottom and the ground. And there are also 2 mirrors on both sides of the driver's cab window, similar to car rearview mirrors, which can see the status of the 2 sides of the ship and the gun. This game is very exquisite. So Wang Li advanced and descended, hovering the airship over the village in circles. And the village did not disappoint Wang Li. As the alarm bell rang, all the rotating and resting militiamen rushed out, shooting arrows into the sky, immediately attracting the attack of the group of stone statues and ghosts. The crisis of the statue ghost has been lifted. Uncle is too clever. So now we must consider the landing issue, which is actually simple. We need a lake that can make a soft landing. Then Wang Li did indeed see the sparkling water in the distance, where there was a lake. Where will it land? Wang Li was extremely reluctant, which meant that the captain of his temporary airship came to an end without doing anything big, at the cost of the failure of the mission to rescue the fallen airship from Jingji Mountain. It's a big loss, no way. Wang Li immediately opened the map in the driver's cab, searched for the current location of the village, and found a lake. There is a river near the lake, and the river stretches all the way to the sea. What is overseas? It's not on the map anymore. Go to the sea. Wang Li's heart trembled. As long as he goes out to sea, it's equivalent to going abroad. Then the NPC won't be able to find me, and this airship will always be used by me, won't it? Even if there is no fuel to fly, you can still put away the balloon and use it as a regular sailboat. With soldiers, guns, and ammunition on board, one can definitely achieve great things. And this game's server is a supercomputer, should there be some overseas maps. But will these NPC soldiers agree to come with me? If they don't agree and rebel directly and tie me up, wouldn't that be over? No big deal, I'll do it myself, one person, one ship. Saving fuel and food with fewer people. Wang Li immediately had an idea and began shouting through the loudspeaker, "All crew members, I am a beginner and have no idea how to land. The airship is in danger of crashing. You should immediately take the injured and a seriously injured captain and first mate off the ship to save us from playing together." With such a roar from Wang Li, these intelligent NPCs indeed recognized and said, "Hurry up and get off the ship. Kid, you must be steady." Wang Li was very pleased. What he wanted was this effect. These soldiers are so intelligent that they would never go on an adventure with me at sea. The soldiers quickly carried away the captain, the man with glasses, and others who were in a bloody coma from the cockpit, and lifted them down with the hand-operated elevator net in the bottom cabin. The villagers in the village also cooperated extremely, pulling out the sheets to pick them up. As for those sound soldiers, they slide down the rope directly. Is there anyone else? Without anyone, I'll leave. The sound of hand-cranked rollers and a response came from the bottom cabin. No one left, let's go. Wang Li was suddenly taken aback. Who are you then? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. I want to go abroad and make a big business. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. I want to go abroad and make a big cause. It's an old NPC. When he appeared, Wang Li felt uneasy all over and said, "Grandpa, why don't you leave?" The old man smiled and said, "You have to leave someone to lift the basket, right?" At this point, the old man sighed and said, "I've been working on this airship for decades and I can't bear to leave. Even if it's going to crash, let's go with it. I'll strangle it. Now the trouble is getting bigger, we can't deceive or drive away, so let's just have a showdown." Wang Li hesitated and said, "Grandpa, I want to do something big." The old man exclaimed in surprise, "What is a great cause?" Wang Li's sales ideal. Go out to sea. Grandpa, think about it. Every city and village in our world is besieged by monsters, and there is no territory that can be cultivated and produced with peace of mind. This long-term consumption is not a problem, so I want to go overseas to see if there are places that can develop with peace of mind. I think this is the way to save the country. The old man was shocked and said, "What do you mean, are you going to use this boat?" Wang Li became nervous and said, "Yes, only with a boat can one achieve great success." The old man frowned and said, "Young man, if you successfully land and save the airship, you will be awarded a merit medal by the kingdom and have more opportunities for further education. However, if you go abroad, this nature may change and you may be convicted of stealing military equipment and fleeing. This is a serious crime in the kingdom. Line trough. I am indeed wanted." Wang Li is conflicted. But as an amateur ordinary player, there is a huge personal level gap between him and Lin Tianhao. How could he possibly defeat his professional expert team? There is a possibility of winning only when it comes to hidden maps that even professional players cannot reach. Wang Li gritted his teeth and said, "If I don't even have the courage to face trial, how can I have the courage to save the country?" The old man exclaimed in shock, "But you haven't obtained noble status. Even if you discover land, you can't obtain recognition from the kingdom for possession. What's the point of that? Want noble status? I wipe, which means the prerequisite is that the player must first become the village chief. But why should the kingdom recognize it? Can I stand on my own and become a pirate? Anyway, I'm done with this military airship." Wang Li sighed and said, someone must be an explorer, a pioneer. The old man laughed heartily and said, young man, although you haven't shown outstanding abilities yet, it's just a lack of training. I appreciate your ideas very much. Since you want to do it, my old man will do it with you. I really don't know what overseas life looks like, and I really want to go and see outside. Incorporate NPC. Is this the benefit of real name registration? Or is this the responsibility of an NPC as a divine skill profession task? Wang Li was overjoyed and said, then please ask the old man to assist me. Let's work together to achieve great things. The old man smiled and said, my name is Gu Lai, let's call me that in the future. I don't have any other sailing skills, so I can still do odd jobs and sweep the floor on the airship. However, I'm not in charge of the boiler room, so now you can only rely on yourself. Does the ballistic teacher of divine skills perform odd jobs? Give me a row with such a handyman. Wang Li began to articulate his plan. My plan is to make a soft landing on this river first, and then descend into the sea along the river, which will save a lot of fuel. Gu Lai simply said, okay, if you want to do it, do it. I'll go connect the cable first and then clean up the blood stains. There's a lot to do. Enter the auxiliary state, oh yes. So the following itinerary is for Wang Li to move towards the established goal, and along the way, he will further master the control of the rudder. Then at 3 a.m., the airship arrived at the target river. The water flow is a bit fast, which is also good as it enters the sea faster. After Wang Li adjusted the direction of the airship, it began to descend continuously. Gu Lai commanded outside the deck like a parking lot toll collector, slow down. Slow down. Steady. 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 Although it may seem like a simple operation, Wang Li's helmet was filled with a cold sweat, which was 100 times more intense than sticking wall tiles at high altitude. Finally, there was a loud sound of water, the hull shook violently, and the soft landing was successful. System prompt. Congratulations. Your airship engineer, professional experience plus 100. Boosted your experience. This is what makes self-study successful. So the next step should be to turn off the gas stove and deflate the balloon. This is also a button on the control panel that only airship engineers can understand. But after entering the river, it may be even more dangerous than in the sky, because there are 4 seasons in day and night in the game, with a day of 6 hours, summer days of more than 3 hours, and night approaching 3 hours. Now that the game is approaching dusk, the risk of sailing at night can be imagined, so Wang Li is ready to fight all night long. At the same time, Wang Li's hen was deeply moved by the serious shortage of manpower. This old man cannot set sail, and in the future, he needs to hire an NPC to help set sail. At 3 a.m., Lin Tianhao finally arrived at the moment when the plan came to an end. The wreckage of the falling airship on Jingji Mountain was right in front of him. The airship where Lin Tianhao is located has been damaged in multiple places, making it difficult for him to survive and is about to collapse. 2 airships crash in one place, killing 2 birds with 1 arrow. This means that we can collect double the parts for airships and crossbows, and the success rate of building our own airships and crossbows will double. Lin Tianhao does not expect to create an NPC-grade airship as soon as he arrives. He only needs a hot air balloon to carry 2 or 3 people, or even only 1 person. As for crossbows, Lin Tianhao is even more hopeful after using them. These military goods are all made of steel arms, which is completely different from the wooden crossbows used by ordinary players. They can enhance the team's ability to leave the city by several orders of magnitude. But at that moment, the captain cheered and shouted, "The reinforcements are here." Reinforcements. Lin Tianhao was suddenly taken aback and indeed saw an airship appearing in both directions on the horizon. The appearance of reinforcements immediately made the besieged stone statues retreat and scatter like birds and beasts. All the NPCs on board cheered. Lin Tianhao was confused and said, "How could it be? Will there be reinforcements for this mission? That is to say, no matter how difficult it may seem, it will not actually fail. The two female secrets were extremely awkward. Ziwen hesitated and said, perhaps the battles on this airship are just an assessment for players, or they are used to train players. The real rescue mission has not yet begun, so at least there will be no problems during the airship stage. Ling Xian awkwardly said, actually, even the statue ghost knows how to escape. The NPC of this airship must be smarter than the statue ghost. If they still don't escape even after doing this, it means there is reinforcements. Lin Tianhao's face under his helmet became extremely ugly. After the fact, Zhuge Liang, who really doesn't know. Lin Tianhao really wanted to curse, but after enduring it, he never cursed. It's not because of generosity, but because Lin Tianhao doesn't want to be like Ba Kuan. If it were to be replaced by Ba Kuan, it would definitely spray, maybe a helmet would hit it. If you have to blame yourself for being clumsy. If you just follow the task arrangement process steadfastly, you won't be in such a predicament. As if to verify the woman's speculation, the captain appeared with a cold and stern expression. Newcomer, I overestimated you. Your later performance was terrible, not only foolishly injuring allies, but also wasting ammunition. I failed your assessment. If even basic combat cooperation cannot be guaranteed, how can I hand over such expensive equipment as airships to you? Suspend your airship engineer training now, and go to the rescue front line to gain combat experience. System prompt. Unfortunately, your career as an airship engineer has been temporarily suspended. Next time, make sure to seize the opportunity and continue to work hard. Task failed. Is it a punishment for Huang Ming's favoritism? Lin Tianhao has already prepared for the worst. The server didn't go smoothly, and a long-lost sense of frustration surged back in my heart. Lin Tianhao took off his helmet in frustration, and the two female secretaries cleverly handed cigarettes to light the fire. Similar things often happen, and Lin Tianhao always feels that his fate is uncertain. The most inspirational second. Generation rich. What is motivation? There are too many trivial things to do. Replacing it with the smooth sailing and inspirational style of Ba Kuan has a yarn-like relationship. In the midst of depression, a staff member knocked on the door outside the office and said, "Report to the boss." The truant student Yu Hui waited on the first floor all night, waiting for the boss to sign the contract. Lin Tianhao couldn't help but say, "Which afterglow?" Ling Xian reminded, "That's the little fish that Hauge said last time, as long as he wins 30 consecutive games in the League 1 King game, he can sign." The staff reported, "Yes, he has achieved this record. The boss can investigate." Lin Tianhao's eyebrows twitched wildly. Alliance Electric 1 King game. This is a nightmare that I couldn't shake off in the past. Not to mention the king, I can't even get on Diamond 1. At that time, there were dozens of keyboards and monitors that were smashed by dogs due to mentality collapse. Why should I encounter such the most spirited thing when I am most depressed? Lin Tianhao said coldly, "He's a minor and doesn't have the consent of his guardian. Sign a damn contract. He's serious. He's childish." The staff said, "How can I refuse?" After thinking for a moment, Lin Tianhao waved his hand and said, "Tell him that even young people with many victories are too arrogant to know how to write the word defeat. Once they lose, their mentality will collapse into a dog. Sign him a 1-month gig contract to experience it and let him track down a person named Wang Li in the game." Got it. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Looking up to the team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Looking up at the team. On June 1st, Children's Day at 8 o'clock in the morning, balloons flew in the Tsuehu Park, known as the Pearl of Xinjiang, creating a festive and childlike atmosphere. The Tsuehu Dragon Palace amusement park on the south bank of the park is more like a fairyland in mythology. The staff meticulously dressed up as classic Chinese cartoon characters such as Sun Wukong, Zhu Beiji, Hulua, Dragon Girl, etc., and began a busy and happy day of welcoming guests. On a giant antique building ship in the lake, Zhou Shui, dressed in Dunhuang costume and resembling a fairy, also started a day's work. Playing games. Zhou Shui is the young owner of this amusement park, but it's just a side job in her spare time because the operation of the amusement park doesn't require her much effort. Other side jobs include amateur anchors, directors of Hanfu Association, Food Association, Weight Loss Association, Fitness Association, and so on. She doesn't have to worry about them. Of course, Zhou Shui's main business is the captain of the top domestic gaming team, Looking Up. The team used to be a world-class powerhouse, but due to internal conflicts, it was on the brink of dissolution. It was Zhou Shui's unique insight that bought it and became the owner. Most of Zhou Shui's core team members are her beautiful girlfriends, so the current Looking Up team is called the White Rich and Beautiful Team by players, and is highly sought after by various wealthy and handsome individuals and advertisers. Zhou Shui didn't tire of it and simply transferred her best friends to this luxurious cruise ship in the lake. Eating, accommodation, playing, and working are all on board, and currently there are a total of 30 beautiful women on board. As for the combat division of the team, former retired world champion Jiang Xiaobai serves as the vice-captain and head coach, with 100 professional players under his command and 20 large studios with cooperative relationships. Looking Up at the true strength of the team is supported by the small white team. When Zhou Shui came to the computer room, she was immediately applauded by her sisters. Sister Shui, her temperament is so extraordinary. Sister Zhou Xuan, however, was dissatisfied and said, "Sister, on the first day of server launch, all the major teams fought all night long. Someone had already rushed to level 9 and started working on promotion tasks, but you slept all night. How could you sleep?" Zhou Shui smiled and said, "Take care of my skin. Didn't Yan Yan help me practice? So I don't have a real name system." Zhou Shuang said with resentment, "If you don't work hard all night, you'll gain 10 pounds at the end of the month." Zhou Shui couldn't help but say, "Is there someone like you who is such a girl?" The sisters laughed. If it wasn't for weight loss, who would stay up all night? Yan Yanhui reported, "Sister Shui, Cohen from the Batian team and Hao from the Tianjiao team have left you a message." Zhou Shui nodded, "Okay, you worked hard tonight. After breakfast, go rest." Xiaoyan smiled and said, "Thank you, Sister Shui. It's not difficult. By the way, I have triggered the bow and arrow mastery skill. Sister Shui needs to use her bow to kill monsters more to improve her proficiency." Good Zhou Shui landed in the game, and his game character, Xiao Shui, was standing on the main city wall. This person who has reached level 9 is exactly myself. Zhou Shui opened the player level leaderboard with a smile on her face, and the first person in this level was also herself. Yan Yan's substitute training is really strong. She truly deserves to be a retired member of the provincial shooting team. Those professional game players really can't compare with her as a professional athlete. Speaking of which, female snipers are naturally more attentive than men, right? Then the second to 100th places are all well-known professional players in the Chinese server, the 5th place is Vice-Captain Xiao Bai, the 18th place is Sister Zhou Shuang, and the 101st place is the president of the Batian squad, Ba Kun, level 9. As for Lin Tianhao, he couldn't be found among the 500 players. What happened? Leaving them aside, Zhou Shui is very interested in exploring the private customization skill of drag relationships. A fashion master who can design and manufacture fashion, and give it as a gift to NPCs, enhancing their friendliness. Yeah. Zhou Shui smiled and bloomed. The fashion in the mall can only be used by players, but cannot be given to NPCs. This skill can be given to NPCs, which can completely compensate for the shortcomings of non-real name system. In a good mood, Zhou Shui asked Zhou Shuang, "Is your sniper skill effective?" Zhou Xuan was quite discouraged and said, "Sister, you need to do tasks to have divine skills. Even if you practice divine skills, I probably won't be a match for Yan Yan." Zhou Shui laughed heartily and said, "Finally, someone has convinced you. Then check Ba Kuen's message. Beautiful woman, I heard that both the European and American servers are organizing joint teams to search for world bosses in their respective areas. Let's also unite our two teams. S.level bosses are not expected, C.level and D.level bosses have a lot of tricks. Dropped equipment also has rare attributes compared to forged equipment, and it has title and attribute bonuses. It's also easier to become a village chief with high reputation." Zhou Shui replied, "Don't call out the Tianjiao team too." Ba Kuen immediately replied, "The beautiful woman is finally willing to go online. What are you calling that kid for? Every time I say something, he always says something, and he can't pee in a pot. I want to sit on the high-speed train for 4 hours to come and take a sample of him." Zhou Shui chuckled in surprise and said, "Do you have it? I think it's okay." Ba Kuen couldn't help but say, "That's for you. The toad wants to eat swan meat. Besides, his father has been losing a lot in the past year or two, and he can still get by." Zhou Shui frowned and replied calmly, "The more difficult his family is, the less he has a way out. Of course, he works even harder." Zhou Shui doesn't like to talk about Lin Tianhao's topic. In her opinion, he is no different from other wealthy children. In the past, she just ignored him, which was called Gao Leng. Later, when his father suffered losses, Zhou Shui showed sympathy and softened her attitude towards him to avoid making people feel snobbish. As a result, Lin Tianhao gave him some sunshine, which made him shine brightly. What's even more speechless is that he seems to have no idea about his father's situation. Zhou Shui changed the topic and said, "I think we should first take the path of steady development as village chiefs, and settle all the villages near the main city, connecting them together. This way, we can restore the operation of the farms and mining areas around the main city. With this foundation, we can then consider the world boss." Ba Kuen chuckled and said, "The beauty's handwriting is very big, I appreciate it." Zhou Shui couldn't help but say, "It's so perfunctory. Sure enough, I'm in the same pot as you." Ba Kuen laughed and said, "How could that be? I just think the village chief route mentioned by the beautiful woman is indeed the top priority at present. Let's plan a few villages around the big city and make sure that no one can compete with us for the village chief." Zhou Shui smiled and said, Stop. I've only been playing this game for a few minutes. If you've thought about it, talk to Xiao Bai. He's the military commander of our team." Ba Kuen couldn't help but say, I'm Ba." Zhou Shui exclaimed, "What's wrong? He's a professional, and I also need to listen to him." Ba Kuen said with hatred, "That's why he's being disliked." Zhou Shui laughed heartily. After finishing the conversation with Ba Kuen, Zhou Shui checked Lin Tianhao's message and said, "Xiao Shui, I have a strategic idea that airships are crucial in this world. We should work together to tackle airship technology and find ways to obtain airship parts from NPCs." Zhou Shui is really speechless, it's not as reliable as Ba Kuen's world-killing boss. The player found it difficult to even take a few steps out of the village, so he began to consider flying. Is it too far ahead or too ambitious? The last sentence of the message is, "By the way, do you know of a person named Wang Li in the industry? The game is called Uncle Wang, and I have a team member who came from a very strange place in the game and claimed to be a bricklayer delivering takeout." Wang Li. Of course, Zhou Shui didn't know him, but she knew that Lin Tianhao was someone who played games without even asking his father. It was strange for such a person to vaguely focus on a strange person. Zhou Shuobian replied, "Some of my friends in the catering industry know many food delivery companies in this city, and I will ask them to pay attention." End of this chapter. 10, Chapter 10 World of Ruins Boss. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 World of Ruins. Boss. It is now December 2000, noon, and Wang Li has been drifting rapidly on the river for the game's 1 day, 2 nights. Especially at night, the searchlight distance is limited, and Wang Li dare not even blink his eyelids. Breakfast and lunch are both solved by grabbing bread casually, and both hands are fortunate to have this healthy chair with a built-in toilet, which is a godsend. Finally, the river gradually opened up, the water flow gradually calmed down, and as the day broke, there was a bright glow ahead, and the sea arrived. Wang Li finally breathed a sigh of relief and drifted freely into the sea. There was no need to be so anxious, you could catch a little nap. But the river flows out of Haikao, and here is a huge ruin. The name on the map is Haiyu Town Ruins, marked with a red cross for destruction. Gu Lai sighed and said, a few years ago, this place was still an important fishing ground in the kingdom, providing a large amount of food for various villages and towns. It was precisely because of this that it became the focus of the demon's attack, and eventually it was destroyed. So, the kingdom's airships won't pass through here anymore, said Wang Li, who immediately fell asleep. Yeah. Wang Li immediately realized the opportunity, that is, other players cannot come here, and this entire ruins is his exploration territory. Wang Li excitedly asked, is there anything good in the ruins? We don't know how long our trip to sea will take, so it's necessary to prepare more weapons and tools. Gu Lai frowned and said, the fishmen and goblins in the monsters love to rob and are interested in any human weapon and shiny coins and jewelry. I'm afraid these cannot be relied upon. Speaking of which, Gu Lai suddenly remembered something. But each town's warehouse will have some spare airship fuel and spare parts for emergency replenishment of passing combat airships. Maybe we can find the remaining fuel. Wang Li became enthusiastic and said, what we need most is fuel. Let's go ashore. The water here is not urgent, so we should be able to get on top. Gu Lai said in a deep voice, what if there are monsters hiding in the ruins? The living environment for monsters is difficult, and human houses should be very attractive to them. Wang Li's eyebrows furrowed. According to the idea of this intelligent game, NPCs say that, if there is one, it is a subtle system prompt, which is that there must be monsters. Wang Li carefully observed with a telescope, and there was a dead silence. Did the other party first discover the ship and then ambush it? Wang Li is conflicted. I am not a high-end player and have no confidence in taking risks. Once I die, it is likely that I will be resurrected in the city, so this airship is a waste of joy. But as an ordinary person, my vision is not that long-term, and even if opportunities are ahead, I have to jump. Jump into the pit. Wang Li had an idea and said, Grandpa Gu, if you're good at firing cannons, you'll stay on the ship to cover my landing. If any monsters appear, I'll run towards you, and you'll fire cannons. If this bait-and-kill tactic goes smoothly, there might be something to do. Gu Lai nodded and said, it seems like this is the only way to do it. The action began, and Wang Li began to approach the shore. Wang Li is not afraid of being stranded, because airships can fly. Finally, in a flurry, the airship docked at the abandoned dock, and Gu Lai skillfully threw out a rope and attached it to the ship's pier. At this time, there were some abandoned and dilapidated fishing boats parked around the dock that had not been able to escape for many years. Wang Li immediately had his first harvest, but if he didn't, these fishing boats could be taken away. Tie a string with ropes and pull it away like a train. Gu Lai stopped Wang Li and said, let's prepare in the gun compartment first. What are you preparing? So Wang Li followed him to the gun compartment. There were a total of 5 crossbows on the side of the compartment near the dock. Gu Lai instructed Wang Li to fill them one by one, then aim at the shore and fire. A total of 5 consecutive shots were fired, with 5 crossbows and arrows piercing the ground from a distance of over 100 to 200 meters. Wang Li exclaimed, what is this? Gu Lai said in a deep voice, target positioning. The advantage of crossbows as a mechanical device is that their landing point is particularly stable. If there is a monster chasing you, you can run to the place where the arrow falls, raise your hand, and I don't need to aim anymore. I can directly fire. Then, when you run to the place where the second, third, fourth, and fifth arrows fall, I will change the guns one by one to solve the problem. You are truly a master. Wang Li was overjoyed and said, I understand. After reloading the crossbows and preparing, Wang Li officially got off the ship and walked 100 meters away from the dock. Wang Li clenched his newbie sword and newbie crossbow in his hand and looked around step by step. 200 meters away from the range of the crossbow, Wang Li arrived at the streets and alleys with ruins. His heart began to tremble with fear, and he was sweating profusely. Silence, eerie, completely out of sync with the game's atmosphere and style. Isn't this game supposed to have unlimited monster battles to enjoy? Make it look like a horror game. Is it a special scene? Or did the airship fire a few shots to scare them all and observe them in the dark? Or is the other party trying to bypass me? If it's really a trap. Wang Li dare not think about it anymore. He can't move forward, and if he goes any further, he won't have the ability to deal with anything. Go back, now. Wang Li immediately turned around and ran away. Just then, there was a loud roar in the abandoned room behind him, and the roar of the monsters rang out. Sleeping trough. Wang Li understood that it was the same as encountering a fierce beast. As long as the person stared at the other person with full vigilance, the other person might not attack easily for a while, but as long as the person turned around and the beast attacked immediately. My current running definitely shows the other person my weakness. The roaring sound behind him shook people's hearts and soul. Wang Li couldn't help but turn his head and take a look. Suddenly, he was a giant like Big Brother named Bolin, with a red label on his head that read D.Level World Boss. And then a large group of ordinary goblins behind me. Wang Li went all out to sprint 200 meters. But the footsteps behind him are getting closer and closer. With the majestic physique of the boss, one step may be 3 or 4 steps ahead of an ordinary human. Can you run back to the first bullseye? But at that moment, the crossbow machine on the ship rang, and a skillful high-throwing crossbow arrow roared towards it. This was the bow cannon. Yes, there's also the most powerful bow gun. Puzzy. Behind me came the sound of a long arrow piercing into the flesh, accompanied by a scream of agony. Hit. Grandpa, you're amazing. The strike of the crossbow clearly slowed down the boss, and Wang Li was able to catch his breath and run to the first target, raising his hand. With a sound from the gun compartment, another crossbow and arrow roared towards us, followed by another scream from behind. The boss who hit 2 arrows in a row seemed to be going crazy, completely unaware of the fear of death. It once again erupted into a deafening roar and relentless pursuit. It was raging. Wang Li was ecstatic. The condition for the boss to be berserk was that he had more than half of his health. If he were to receive 2 shots, he could do it. This is an NPC military crossbow with a refined steel frame, not a player's wooden bullet bow. It's not a problem to fight against the lowest level world boss. And then the 3rd shot. The 4th shot. The sound of a giant object falling down from behind. System prompt. Congratulations. You have killed the D.Level world boss, Goblin Leader, and you have reached level 4 with +1 health and 1 free attribute point. Received the honorary title, Goblin Killer, with +10 health and +1 additional attack on the Goblin Race Forest. This honorary title can enhance attributes by killing more elite level and boss level goblins. System prompt. You have obtained equipment such as Goblin Skull Blade, Goblin Skull Armor, and Goblin Skull Helmet. Obtain 20 gold coins and 10 commercial gemstones. Goblin Head Bone Blade. A one-handed bone weapon with an attack of +8 and a durability of 100. Stunt. Endurance Restoration. Goblin Head Bone Armor. Defense +4, durability 100, stunt. Endurance Restoration. Goblin Head Helmet. Defense +5, Durability 100, Stunt. Endurance Restoration. System Prompt. Congratulations. You have successfully killed a world boss. Is it world broadcasting? World radio will enhance your reputation as an honorary citizen. Wang Li turned around and saw 4 shocking crossbows and arrows piercing through the boss's belly. Wahahaha. Although he was mentally prepared to welcome victory, killing a world boss so easily really made Wang Li feel a sense of accomplishment. The most rare thing in entrepreneurship is the first bucket of gold, and kidnapping an airship is indeed the foundation for doing big things. End of this chapter.